Hello YouTube friends. It's been another windy week on the small holding. We finally had some rain, although I have to say it wasn't as much as the weather reports promised. The slugs have been loving the wet weather, and the wasps have been adding new layers to their nest. The climbing roses and the oxeye daisies are in bloom. I cannot tell you how amazing the roses smell. And there's a caterpillar that seems determined to single-handedly destroy all of my new fruit trees. So in a previous video I was collecting dandelion petals, and I mentioned that I wanted to make a dandelion balm because it's really good to help with achy hands, achy joints. So I have made it, and I'm going to show you how to make it in this video. So dandelion flowers can help with inflammation. They're an anti-inflammatory, and that's what helps with the pain relief of things like arthritis, achy joints, sore muscles and stuff like that. And I found this out completely by accident. I made a dandelion salve or a balm, whichever word you prefer to use, and I used it on my hands because they were quite dry, and I realized that it really helped to relieve the achy feeling I had from overuse, because I was planting into very, very, very hard soil at the time. Anyway, so you'll have to forgive my grubby hands. I've just been gardening. This is a lovely thing to be able to do for yourself, to just put a little bit of salve on. Okay, so you only need a few ingredients. First off, you need your pre-infused oil. So you make this by drying dandelion flowers. You can either dry them whole or you can pull the petals off, which is what I did. And then you pop them into a jar once they're dried and cover them with oil and leave this for 2 to 3 weeks. Then you need some cocoa butter or shea butter. I use cocoa butter because shea butter does not agree with me. And then you need some wax. So I use candelilla wax, but you can also use beeswax if you know a reputable beekeeper. If you're using candelilla wax, whatever recipe you use half the amount than beeswax, because most recipes use beeswax. So you need 100 mils of oil, 50 grams of the butter, and then 25 grams of beeswax or 12.5 grams of candelilla wax. I've also got a scale here to the side with a glass so that I can strain my dandelion balm. You need a couple of jars, and you need some sort of bain-marie setup. So if you don't have cocoa butter or shea butter, you don't need to go out and buy it. You just need your infused oil and your wax. The quantities would just be different. So you'd use 100 mils of oil and 15 grams of beeswax, or about 8 grams of candelilla wax. So the first thing I'm going to do is wash my jars because they need to be sterilized. So take the lids off, give the glass a wash, and then this goes into the oven. So you put it in at 120 degrees Celsius for about 10 minutes. If you want to be on the safe side, maybe go for 20. I've only got 2 jars though, so I'm just going to pop mine into the air fryer at 120 degrees. These metal lids have got a plastic coating, so I'm going to deal with these separately. So after I wash these, I'm just going to drop them in some boiling water for 10 minutes and that'll sterilize them. Once you've put your jars in for sterilization, you just need to get your water on the boil so that it'll be nice and hot by the time you finish straining your infused oil. Okay, so what you'd ordinarily do is you would have a sieve larger than this, and you would put a muslin in it and you would strain your ingredients through that. However, my muslins are still in a box somewhere. I haven't been able to find them since we moved, so I'm just going to use this. Right, I need something to balance that on so it doesn't fall. Okay, so let's go to 0. And then the whole point of having a muslin is to make sure that not even a single bit of plant material ends up in your finished product, because that can shorten the life of the balm. So you also want to make sure that your hands are washed, clean and dry. Obviously, if I was using a bigger sieve, I would do this at the end, the straining bit at the end. So I'm just going to measure it into the bain-marie. So you pop the oil, the cocoa butter and the wax into the bain-marie, and you stir it all around until it's lovely and dissolved and melted together. Just keep an eye on the heat level. You probably want to keep it turned down to low so that the water in the pan is only just simmering. You don't want it bubbling and boiling over and splashing into your lovely mixture, because you know you want no water in this whatsoever. And just keep stirring gently. You want to make sure that this is warming up nice and evenly. You don't want any patches of oil, maybe towards the bottom of the bain-marie, to start getting really hot. So keeping it mixed means that it's just warming up gently and evenly. You know, you don't want a cooked oil. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to take that off the heat. I've got my jars. And then at this stage you can add the essential oils. So for this recipe you can add up to 20 drops. So I'm just going to do 2, 3, 4 frankincense. I'll do 10 geranium. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then 5 or 6 marjoram. 4, 5, 6. Okay. Give that a good stir. Then you want to pour it into your jars. Jars are nice and warm at the moment, and you've got warm liquid. You wouldn't want to put hot liquid into stone cold jars, because sometimes it can cause the glass to crack. Okay. And then you want to pop your lids on and leave them to cool down. And then you can see over here, this is already starting to cool down. It's lovely stuff. Oh, it smells so nice. So with the remainder of your oil, you just want to pop this into a sterilised bottle or jar. Keep it in a dark cupboard. You can use it for whatever you would use dandelion oil for. So this balm will keep for at least a year. If you have it for longer, you can always tell by the texture and the smell if it's gone past its best. And if it has, then just I always refresh mine every year. So whenever the dandelions are out, I'll just make a new batch, and whatever's left, I'll use it. But if it doesn't smell great, I'll discard it. Good luck with your achy hands. I leave you with this shot of the squirrel hogging the bird feeder while the birds fly around impatiently waiting for him to finish. I'll catch you again next week.